Hello and welcome to David's Life and Observation with your host David Welch. Today's show is going to be it's gonna be a brief show. I'm not trying to have it go too long, probably like 15, 20, 30 minutes at most. But I just want to cover a few topics. One of the topics really hammering the headlines right now is the Mueller report. It was an ass kicking by Congress that Mueller got, and it wasn't pretty. I mean, you could tell that he had a series of lackeys write his shit. He didn't write it. The Mueller report has his name on it, but you can tell he didn't know a fucking thing in there. Or he just chose not to say, which I don't know why you wouldn't if it's your fucking report. So, it doesn't look good. It just looks like a 3 year long fishing expedition that was predicated on information by a shitty witness, and it just seems like doctored dossier that got forwarded to kick off this investigation, and it really didn't do a whole lot of anything other than piss people off. It's kind of what happened. So I definitely want to thank the FBI for doing their due diligence and at least like considering the information at hand, because they have to consider all information. But when the information you're getting is credible and you have this circle jerk going on for 3 years, wasting the American taxpayers' time, money, and energy for 3 fucking years over bullshit, it doesn't cut it. Mueller just looked like shit. Horrible. When you're getting your ass handed to you by every congressman up there, it just doesn't look good. Another thing that was really upsetting in the news is you have kids in, I think it was NYPD, who are dousing police officers in water with water guns. And I've had several gnarly debates with friends and people I don't even know on Facebook and other platforms. And there seems to be a national recognition that yes, we do need to respect our law enforcement. We do need to come together as a community and have better dialogue with law enforcement. And having fun is different because you have similar videos out there that are circulating with officers in like Florida, Georgia, other places, but they're actually having fun engaging in the water fight. Those New York cops are on the beat. Those guys weren't having fun. Those guys were just getting ambushed by kids with water guns, and it got to the point where it crossed over from like kind of an interesting, funny thing to assault. And people are like, the fuck you mean assault? Yes, assault. When you're getting, and here's the other fucked up part. These cops have calls to get to. It's not like it's not like the response time is quick anyway. So if they do need to get up and go, they need to go. They need to be able to go and handle a call, whether it's domestic violence or whatever. Because unwittingly and unknowingly, those kids could have cost somebody their life if it meant those guys getting there 3 minutes faster to prevent a possible, murder suicide situation or whatever have you. Now, I'm the first person to say, like, if that's the worst that happens to the cops in New York or urban areas, that they get fucked up with water guns over the shit that they've done in the past year, then, like, that's the worst that fucking happens. But the problem is you're not helping yourself as a community when you do that shit. And I've agreed across the board with people who have argued that point. You're like, what is it that you're trying to do other than piss them off and give them, and it's not even a good excuse, but give them any excuse to do more violence to the people in the community that they already do violence to. So it doesn't really help the narrative that they're getting onslaughted by water guns to the point where it's assault. You're damaging gear. You're preventing you're blocking their cars. You're preventing them from leaving in a few cases. So it just wasn't good. I mean, it got to the point where it was just like kind of bedlam, and you don't know how to get through it without being kind of a dick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but if I'm a police officer and I'm trying to do my job and you're preventing me from doing my job, that's obstruction of justice. That's assault when you're hitting me with water guns, you're damaging equipment, shooting inside of their vehicles and shit. It's just not good. It's just like when your city wins a basketball game or you win the championship, whatever, and you go out and riot. The only motherfuckers you're hurting is your own community at that point. So, or the Michael Brown riots and shit like that. A lot of that shit is a bunch of dirtbags looking for an opportunity to capitalize on the situation and do more dirt. Which is the exact motherfuckers that they're there to fucking do damage to. Believe me, I don't bat an eye when they fucking take down a sexual predator, when they take down a fucking like meth fucking dealer who's dealing to kids and heroin dealer who's dealing to kids. And those guys get arrested and they want to fight back with guns and shit. When you play with fire like that, you get the fucking heat. Sorry, this is the way it's going to happen. Believe me, I am not. If anybody's ever seen my posts, if anybody ever sees me like comment on a video, I don't absolutely not endorse the police 100% of the time. I don't. And I still was saying, my whole shtick was like, if that's the worst that happens to them, it's better than the entire community arming themselves with real guns and then fucking killing them. Because that's where people are leading to. This is just the first stage level of disrespect. It's going to go further. And here's why. Motherfucking cops want to not be held accountable. They want to do... any organization that's allowed to do their own investigating, of course, is going to find themselves not guilty of anything. That's the first strike. That's the first bump in the road that we as a society need to get the fuck over. Because allowing law enforcement to investigate themselves is wrong. When you allow the government to investigate themselves, of course they're going to twist in any way, shape, or form, and they're going to perform all sorts of straw men. They're going to point the finger at the people they victimized, saying, oh, well, they were shitbags and they were dirtbags, and look at this photo from 1997 with him holding guns, and I don't know how we got this photo, but it's, that's what they do to people. That's what they do to people that are, like, good people. They'll find the fucking shadiest looking photo of that person, and they'll plaster it all online and list all the charges, not the convictions, just the charges they've had, just to throw them in a negative light so that they don't get seen as the dicks and the douchebags that they are. Now, but it's got to be situational. You have to take the situation by situation. I've been wrong in the past by blanketly saying, all cops are bad. And I've said that with like sincerity at the time, like, hey, I can't find any reason to say any cops are good because they're not in court testifying against their own. When you as a society get to the point where the cops are so fucking accountable and they're so good at their job that they're fucking saying, hey, what this other fellow officer did was dirt, and I'm going to fucking testify in court that he did dirt, or it's going to go in at least my report that he went a little overboard, he or she went a little overboard, or they unnecessarily discharged the firearm, or whatever it is, whatever have you. But it's gotten to the point where it's on video, and there's no... People are like, well, we gotta understand what happened before the video. Never mind the crime that actually is perpetrated on the video. We have to know what happens before, because obviously there's some sort of excuse that we're allowing them to have if what led to that altercation is in some way fucked up. Like, I'm sorry. I don't endorse that. People are allowed, even if you're being arrested, you're allowed to have a voice. You're allowed to say whatever you want. Of course, it's admissible in court. You can use that. They can use that in court against them. So the more that motherfucker chooses to speak, the more angry and pissed off they are, and they're fucking letting words fly, and they're calling them every name under the sun. I'm sorry, but that's the citizen's right. So for people to use that excuse of, hey, it all depends on what the person said, negative. Nope, doesn't matter what they say. They could be racist, they could be bigoted, they could be whatever it is under the sun. They can say whatever, because at the end of the day, they're not resisting. They're not, especially not resisting if they're asking questions like, why am I being detained? What is the situation, officer? Why am I being detained? Why are you pointing weapons at me? Why are you hitting me? What kicked this off? Because sometimes the victims, and I'll call them victims, the victims of these police are very unknowledgeable about what the fuck is going on and why they're being attacked in the first place. Other motherfuckers know exactly why they're being fucked up, and that's because they're actually resisting arrest and fighting back. So I don't take the whole, oh, he moved his arm or he moved, because it's a natural thing that humans do. You have to let them know, like, yo, you are being detained, you're not allowed to go anywhere, and hey, I'm going to put hands on you. If you inform someone beforehand, they're less likely to fucking jerk away from you. And if they want to run at that point, then it's up to them. It's on them to get taken down and get their ass beat a little bit. Now, if you're taking someone down or they're already fucking handcuffed and you're waylaying them, that's wrong all day. Wrong all fucking day. I mean, we have the most notorious motherfuckers to do that in recent memory was I know Mesa Police did that. Mesa Police did that at a hotel, or actually an apartment complex, where for no reason at all, 3 motherfuckers start beating the fuck out of a guy who was actually complying. Like, the dudes, they said, hey, go over, stand against the wall. He stands against the wall, and because the guy he must have had some sort of posture, which didn't make sense with the guy's fucking hands in his fucking pants, or he was looking at his phone or whatever. Never once did I see an aggressive posture from the guy, but they start beating the fuck out of him for no reason. And fuck you, Mesa Police, for coming up with that excuse like, oh no, he had an aggressive stance. Fuck you, pieces of shit. I'm talking like, you've got 4 officers up there, the dude's not gonna do shit. And then you're beating the fuck out of him, using excessive force, punching him in the face for no fucking reason. He didn't resist. He was reacting to getting punched in the fucking face. And I hate that shit. I hate that they instantly go, stop resisting, when they choose to initiate the contact, or they choose to initiate the violence. Motherfucker, they weren't resisting in the first place. There's another instance where 2 law enforcement officers beat the fuck out of a girl at a beach for having an open container, blew negative on the breathalyzer, but they couldn't let it go. They had to be right. You know, they have to win that arm wrestling match. They have to be right. So they fucking put their hands on her. 2 motherfuckers held her down and punched her in the face. What kind of cowardly shit is that? What kind of coward are you to... I mean, obviously there's no crime being perpetrated. Okay, hand her a fucking ticket for the open container and beat the fuck on your way. You know, and then some cop asshole is going to be like, well, she didn't give her name. She has to give her name. She has to give her ID when asked. No, the fuck you don't. So if you're accusing someone of a crime, and here's what she should have done. She's being accused of a crime. She's detained. She's not allowed to go anywhere. At that point, hey, they have a crime. You already complied with the fucking breathalyzer. You know, and they have an accusation of a crime, an actual crime, which is an open container on the beach. I mean, could they have given her a warning and say, you know what, hey, don't fucking do it? I mean, but it's at the officer's discretion. And any way they can get to generate fucking revenue, they're gonna do it. So anytime you have interactions with the police, don't think they're just gonna let you go with a warning. Don't think they're gonna let you go, period. They're not trying to let you go. They're trying to steal money from you. They're trying to take your shit. That's their purpose. They have no other purpose other than fuck with people and create criminals. They literally go out of their way to create criminals. There's another case where you got a police officer caught planting evidence, and then they review hundreds of his cases and realize he's been doing this the whole fucking time, and they had to throw out like 84 fucking cases of the guy because he was planting evidence. Come on. And they're like, well, we fired him. Why is he not in federal prison? He criminalized and hurt, not just financially. He forever altered the fucking lives of people, and you're gonna just fire him? The fuck? We have another problem. We have another problem with our system of government when it comes to the judicial system. We have the police, who are the enforcers of the law, who don't know the law, who aren't practiced or well versed in the law at all. And they're out there with minimal training. They're out there, and even the seasoned ones, seasoned ones, the sergeants, the upper echelon, honestly believe, because they've been violating rights for so long, they honestly believe that what they're doing is lawful and just, but what they've been doing their entire career is violating people's rights, because they learn from people who violated other people's rights. And it's sad. It's sad that you have a culture of policing whose mentality is go fuck him up, go kick his ass, or they fucking laugh and get their jollies off over the fact of they beat the fuck out of a crackhead because he decided to wiggle and squirm when they were throwing cuffs on him. Now, to be fair, they're human fucking beings. Police are human beings. Whether we want to believe it or not, they're not robots. They have emotions. They have real shit that they're dealing with. Cops in some areas aren't being paid so well. I don't know of what area that people are talking about when they say that, but I assume that it's true. And, well in one area could not mean well in another. It's whatever. I know California police get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. Those motherfuckers net $100,000 a year. Just like even the basic patrolman is upwards of 70, 80K. Now, but in San Diego, that's getting by. That's normal. That's like a $40,000 a year cop job here in Arizona. Mind you, that's not too bad. But at the same time, we have this dynamic. We have this belief as citizenry that every cop is alike. That's not true. Obviously, I have friends and family that are law enforcement. They do their own thing. They're their own people, and we have a problem with them following orders that are unjust, and we should. We have ordinances that are in play here in Arizona, Texas, California, that are not lawful, that they restrict free speech, they restrict the Second Amendment, and those amendments, should be inalienable rights, actually, but they get violated all the time. They try and make it seem like it's okay for you to get your rights violated no matter what. I mean, they have things now that are delving into mental health. They have the Baker Act. They have different mental health codes that allow them to violate your rights when if a healthcare professional says so, or if somebody wants to do a wellness check for you, they'll send motherfuckers with guns to come make sure you're okay, and then they end up shooting the motherfucker that's having a mental breakdown because they don't know how to handle it. We have cases like that in this country, all over this country. We do have a new era in mental health, which I gotta say is better recognition, but calling the police on that individual may not be the best way to go. We may have to have something specific, and maybe we do have post-certified law enforcement, but they need to bring different tools to the game. They need to bring patience, de-escalation tactics. Now, I know a lot of people are like saying, a lot of cops will say, well, de-escalation doesn't work because people are crazy and people don't listen. It's not the citizen's job to comply with your every beck and order. We're not going to. And we don't lawfully fucking have to oblige every command you have. And a lot of fucking law enforcement officers are going to be saying, got you there, you need to comply. No, we don't. It's not comply or die. This isn't Nazi Germany. Show me your papers. It's not that at all. And their go-to response is, well, you signed the driver's license. You agree to hand it over to law enforcement. No, I agree to display my driver's license. In fact, I have a huge problem with driver's license. I'm not saying that there doesn't need to be a system in place to ensure drivers aren't fucking killing other drivers, but the whole means of registration and licenses and everything like that is a mechanism to draw revenue for the state. And they're finding more and more ways to rob you of your money. People don't get paid hardly anything at all as it is, and then we have cops ruining fucking lives by coming in and taking vehicles. They're fucking they're fining people, they're giving people tickets that they can't pay. What ends up happening is people who can't pay their ticket end up having a warrant out for their arrest, and they end up getting put in jail. So if that's not if that's not a debt prison system, then I don't know what is. That is exact case in point and classic debtor's prison. If you say it doesn't exist anymore, you're fucking illusional if you think it doesn't exist. Now, it doesn't exist in the original format where if you just had a debt, they could throw you in jail. The difference is if you have a debt with the state or you have a debt with the city and police can catch your ass, then you're going to get put in jail. That's the difference. It's not a... They shifted it from the, somebody owing a private debt to a... If you owe the government debt, you're going to get taken to and put in fucking jail. We have a lot of people, and there's a case that a good mentor, good friend, lawyer person just had, where he's a lawyer, Steven Stubbs in Nevada. He's a lawyer, great guy, fights for people's rights, fights for bikers' rights. Wonderful individual, had a clear-cut way to demonstrate that his client was innocent. But his client was so scared that because of who he was and who he affiliated with, maybe, that he wasn't going to get the jury to side with him despite the evidence of his innocence. So he took a plea deal. When you have people that didn't commit a crime willing to take a plea deal because the jury happens to be pro-police, they are pro-government in that area, and then you have a jury selection that's a fucking amazing, by the way. There's no random jury selection. They will literally come down the line. At least they do this here in Arizona. They'll come down the line and ask you specific questions. Do you have a beef with law enforcement, or have you ever posted negative comments about the government, or what do you think about the state of affairs between citizens and law enforcement? They'll ask you these questions as probing questions to get you off the fucking jury, because they won't select you. They know you're gonna do what is called nullification. They know you're a person that's probably gonna nullify that situation, because you're gonna see it for what it is. You're gonna observe video. You're gonna observe whatever evidence is presented, and make an actual judgment call versus the people who are pro-police who only needed their word as gospel. We've gotten to the point in time where we know they lie. We know that if it's just their testimony, you can't run on it, because here's what'll happen. A video will come out later disproving everything that officer said in his statement, his official statement. And the worst that will happen is that officer will be penalized, yet people still have charges. People will still have not just charges, but they'll still be convicted of a crime they never committed in the first place based on that testimony, which happened to turn out to be false. And somehow that person will still be levied charges and still be given a conviction based on that testimony that we know is false. Why? It should automatically, charges should be dropped. Officers should be hit with perjury, thrown in jail. The only profession that allows you to go home to your family after committing a crime is law enforcement. The only profession that exists in the United States that allows you to go home and be with your family for 90 days after you kill someone, after you beat someone, after you plant evidence, after you lie in court, after you perpetrate so many fucking crimes it's insane to keep count of. Do you get to go home to your family for 90 fucking days to get your affairs in order if you have an inkling that it's not going to go your way? And here's what happens. These motherfuckers just get fired from a department and they go to the next county. They're called gypsy police. It's a real fucking thing. It's amazing that happens. It's amazing that their post-certification's not stripped and that they're not ending up in prison. Because officers, especially the officer who spent years planting evidence on people, and we've caught several officers. We got Boston officer, we have officer in Florida doing it, officer in Georgia doing it. We have officers probably in every state that's caught or caught on their own fucking body camera planting drugs, planting evidence against people, and they're not serving prison time. They're just getting fired. You have law enforcement officers in Florida shooting people with their hands in the air and they're laying down. Guys laying down. He was a resident assistant at an adult resident home helping the mentally disabled. Had his hands up, still shot by the officer. The officer's own response is, "I don't know why I shot you." Yet he was put on paid administrative leave, allowed to be home with his family, and he only just got fired. How? How was he? And they, it was funny. He was not convicted of a crime by a jury. Well, I wonder why the fuck that was. It's because the judge, the prosecuting attorney, and the DA, or the DA himself, who levied the charges, and the cops all work for the same employer, the state, the city. They're not going to buddy fuck each other. It's not in their interest to do so. There's no accountability. That's why people are pissed. That's why the Super Soaker situation happened. You think it's just kids being an ass? No. It's perpetrated because they're frustrated. They have this desire to get even any way they can, because they are being targeted. They are being ridiculed. Just for being black in America, you get pulled over. You get pulled. Another case that I just thought about. You have a white retired cop. I think it was Florida or Georgia. I can't remember. I wish I could show the videos, and I'll show them at a different time, where I'll put links down below next time. But you have, and I'll probably do it for this video. I can put links to the videos I'm talking about. But you have a retired law enforcement officer who called the police saying, these two black gentlemen are breaking into a house on a predominantly white street, white neighborhood, and it happened to be a realtor and a client who used the code box and got in with the key. Yet somehow they were breaking in and had law enforcement respond, put in handcuffs until they could check things out. Didn't ask them the simple question of, "Hey, who are you? What you got going on here?" And as soon as they realized, hey, they were a realtor and a fucking client, should have been the end of the ordeal. But no, you had to embarrass them, put them in handcuffs, and then the person who filed the suspicious person breaking into a home was never placed in handcuffs, never arrested for the false report, never charged or fined for the false report. He's allowed to keep doing it. And he's going to keep doing it anytime a minority goes into his neighborhood. It's going to happen. That's what's wrong. We have a lack of accountability when it comes to people making false reports. We have lack of accountability with law enforcement officers. And like I said, the worst that happened to them today, or in the past couple days, is that they got soaked with water. Yes, it's damaging. Yes, it's disrespectful. Yes, you're delaying them from potentially saving a life. And that's shitty. But if that's the worst that happens, literally, if that's the worst that fucking happens to them, then I say, you know what? Hey, they can take it on the chin, and maybe they should work on better relations with that community that they're in. My recommendation to that community: stop. Don't do that shit no more. They have calls to get to. They have serious shit that they need to be doing. Don't fuck with them. It's really easy to say, oh, well, fuck cops and I hate cops. And You can have those feelings. They are genuine. They are raw. They are real. I'm not discrediting your feelings. I'm not discrediting how you feel. You just got to be tactful in the way you got to go about it. Now, have I felt like Rambo and wanted to get even with some law enforcement that fucked me up in the past? Absolutely. I wanted to be Rambo ever since I got out of that fucking stupid mental facility that I was illegally placed in. Absolutely. Illegally placed in a mental facility for 3 fucking days. Rights violated at the wazoo. And the medical health professionals lied. They fucking lied. And there are reasons why I can't get the phone call that was made. I can't get the police report from the department that chose to detain me, because they know they fucked up. Now, that aside, hey, you don't want to be caught in a situation where these cops get a hold of you because you're damaging their equipment. You're fucking spraying them with water. Unless they say, hey, like, let's play water gun fight for a little bit. Cool. They go to their cars. They drive away. C'est la vie. It's whatever. When you got a whole community that's not letting them leave, and you're doing so much damage that it's literally damaging their radio equipment, they can't communicate. That is a problem. Don't fucking do that shit. You're not helping your community by doing that at all. You're not helping relations with law enforcement at all. Are those same beat cops gonna be out there tomorrow? Probably. They're gonna be pissed off, and then they might go a little harder on your boy when he decides to fuck up in front of them. Don't be one of those dudes. Don't be one of those people. And yes, they shouldn't have that mentality, but they are fucking human, and they err just like everybody else. At the same time, law enforcement officers, I really, really pray you guys get this, that people are getting sick and tired. They're sick and tired to the point where they're already going to disrespect you. They're already planning on disrespecting you the instant they come into contact with you. You've already passed that echelon of the friendly person that gets pulled over. They take their ticket on the chin and they just drive off, or whatever have you. Those days are done. The days of cameras being in your face, the days of what legal right do you have to detain me, are now what's common, and it's going to be everybody. It's going to get to the point where the people see enough video, they're gonna have a vernacular down, and it's going to be the norm, and you guys are going to be aggro, you guys are going to be pissed off, and I want you to sit back and reflect at why that is. It's because you guys fuck up. You guys break the law. There are cops that wantonly break the law here in Phoenix every fucking day. Don't use turn signals. Don't have emergency lights on blowing through a red. There's a lot of things that they do that I see every day with my own two eyes that I wish I had my dash cam set up so I can catch. That's just the small stuff. Much less the beatings that they do, the assaults that they do, the kids who have, the kids that they try and rip from parents. It's an everyday occurrence here in Phoenix. It's an everyday occurrence in the greater Phoenix Valley, Mesa, Glendale, fucking Peoria, North Phoenix, South Phoenix. It doesn't matter. This area has a very big problem with police being dicks and police being overzealous to fuck someone up, and that's what happens. And it's same down in Tucson. Tucson police are, by and large, worse than Phoenix police. If you can believe that, Tucson police are fucking terrible. Terrible. They're shitbags. Enough of that, though. Let's end on a kind of crazy note. Let me go back to Mueller, or the Mueller report, Mueller report, however you want to say his name. Ending on this note, it's done. There's nothing living in that report that's going to do any good for anybody. Congress put the kibosh on Mueller, who obviously hadn't read his own words or hadn't talked to his ghostwriters well enough to really know the content of his own report. So they should just call it a fucking day, say we were wrong, and then Mueller, you should probably resign from the FBI, because you have no problems using FBI power when it suits you and the people that are paying you extra money to fuck up motherfuckers. And last note, Epstein is not going to commit suicide. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are going to murder his ass before he gets a chance to speak more, before he gets dragged in front of another court to speak again. He's going to get attacked repeatedly. He needs to be in solitary confinement with a group of individuals that are going to actually keep his ass protected. Because if he ends up dead in the next 50 days, then that's not going to be him committing suicide. That's going to be the Hillary and Bill Clinton, fucking modus operandi putting a kibosh on that dude. Because they don't want their dirt drug out. They are the epitome of dumbassery in politics, and they are thugs, and they are fucking out with a vengeance. If you think they haven't killed motherfuckers, they have, and they will, to stay in politics. They have and they will to stay out of prison. Epstein's no different. Epstein's own money won't protect him. It's not going to happen. All right, thank you for tuning into David's Life and Observation. Please like and subscribe this video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to check me out on Instagram, it's david.m.welch1. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, it's at dwelch9627. And if you want to send me an email, dwelch9627@gmail.com. I look forward to comments, of course, on the video. I look forward to discussions with anybody who wants to partake in those discussions. And on the next podcast, I may have my twin brother on the podcast because he likes to give me flip side of play the devil's advocate, so to speak. But he's way more conservative than I am. He's going to give you a lot of insight on conservative mindset. He watches way more C-SPAN than I do, and I can see him being a poli-sci major when he gets out of the military. But anyways, have a great day and tune into the show next week. Next week we should be talking about the differences between $15 an hour minimum wage, a living wage, and of course upward mobility in economics. So next week's show is going to be a little bit more economical driven, but if there are some big stories that come out between now and then, I will drop knowledge on that, and I will put the links of those videos down at the bottom of this that video. The different videos and stuff that I reference in this video, I will put down below in the description, so check those out.